Base is dropped on another round of soccer down here. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday, and that means pretty much anything's on the table. It is National Signing Day, so once this show is over, I turn into the other version of me. But we've also going to catch up with some folks in the NPSL, so that'll be up a little later on the network as well. John here, Jarrett there. The bat signal has been placed out for other individuals. And hopefully they will be joining us as the morning comes along. But first, and this is opening kickoff officially. This is opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And you can follow along Kickoff Coffee, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code SoccerDownHere15 to get 15% off of your purchase. And they, in turn, take 10% and roll it over into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee at kickoffcoffeeco.com. So, quoting the legendary orator Arn Anderson, I'm not one to toot my own horn, but toot. And so it's something that I wanted to do for SDH this morning. And I have several copies of it in envelope and little 5-star folders like this, and they're going out to the guys next time I see them. But you might have noticed, and it's kind of hidden a little bit, on the Eliminize sign, there's a little sticker that got added. And the reason that a little sticker got added is because Soccer Down Here won a Davy Award, and it's for the 2021 season, silver level Davy Award winner for 2021. So Nick, Jason, Jarrett, and some guy named John, official hardware for Soccer Down Here. Davy Awards, one of the podcast awards, I think that was their 18th annual. And so Soccer Down Here can put its first award on the table or in a frame or wherever we place them. But yeah, Davy Awards recognize Soccer Down Here on the silver level. So congratulations to all the guys, and congratulations to all of you who hang out with us on a daily basis for, making us what we are here in season 6 as we steamroll towards season 7 here at SDH. So there it is. There's your proof. SDH silver level Davy Award winner for the year 2021. So congratulations to everybody here at OSD Sports and SDH Networks. So yeah, we're going to put that on the wall. And that's going to be the first one of probably 11 billion awards that we will win in our history. But I just wanted to sit there and kind of fill out the table here as you sit there and you look at that sticker on the Lemonize thing and you're going, what is that? And so now you know what it is. Davy Award winner, silver level for 2022. So congratulations, Jarrett. You're an award winner.
I didn't expect to win an award, so I don't have a speech prepared.
Those are the best speeches.
Yeah, you don't really have anything prepared, and you just kind of roll with what you got. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. But
the schedule released, y'all.
Yeah,
people are both mad and happy. That's okay.
Yes,
it's okay to be both.
Yeah, and so that was where we were going to be spending the majority of our time this morning was on schedule. Well, we prefer to be off schedule, but
we live off schedule, man.
Yes, and so the release of the schedule. And if there's anything that you guys want to know about a team other than Atlanta United in general, that's what we're here for. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday. Like I said, we're anticipating Dylan Butler, 10 o'clock, coming back, and we can get the national view from him. But interesting start for the Atlanta United schedule.
Okay. You say interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The real answer is perfect, because Atlanta United starts their season with the San Jose Earthquakes.
That is true.
I had trouble publishing last night. I should have it up today. The republishing, for some reason, it fell off the internet, probably because it was too pure for this world. But I'll have to republish my article about this from a couple of years ago. Atlanta and San Jose have only ever played absolutely back guano games.
Yes.
Um,
Uh-huh.
I have they were supposed to play each other in 2020. COVID ruined it. So
Yeah.
now I
Mm-hmm.
get basically round 4 of this, and I'm so happy because these teams only ever play stupid, insane games. My only hope is that San Jose still plays stupid, insane games, even when Mateus Almeida no longer in charge of the club.
Take
So
2.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
It's an interesting dynamic, and the way that this lays out, Atlanta United has 3 of their first 4 at home, 4 of their first 6 at home, and that gets you to April Fool's Day with the home match against Red Bulls. Insert irony here, but you start off San Jose at home.
The joke is, in fact, on us.
Mm-hmm. Toronto at home. So Toronto, and their changes.
We'll see if Toronto can defend now.
Well, they've got Matt Hedges, so we'll see what happens there.
Great. They fixed a leak.
Yeah.
They have on the Titanic that was Toronto's defense. Great. They have plugged one of the forward compartments that was taking on water.
Yes,
It's a good thing the Titanic only had one compartment that was taking on water, and that was the downfall of the ship. Right, Toronto?
Yes. So does that mean that Matt Hedges is Victor Garber?
Matt Hedges is
Because he's not Billy Zane.
No, he's not. You know, he might be. I was going to go by historical reference. He might be he might just be one of the musicians.
Okay. Yeah, he might be. Yeah,
he might be one of the musicians who I just took a job.
Uh-huh.
I just took a job. I didn't know this. I didn't sign up to die, but
I didn't sign up for this gig.
No, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Hopefully Matt Hedges does well for Matt Hedges' sake.
Yes.
Matt Hedges seems like a decent person, at least last checked.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yep.
Toronto, remember, this is the same Toronto team that we talked about last summer. Like, hey, they're going to be fun when they click.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not clicking, they're going to give up a lot of goals. And if they're not scoring, they're going to be on the end of some ugly-ass results.
Yes, that is true.
That's pretty much what happened to them. That's pretty much how their season went in the second half of the year. They had a couple of games where they were really good. They had some games where they were just god-awful.
That is true.
Specifically, the last one against Atlanta United.
They were out the door. So Coco says that Toronto FC fixed a leak downstream from a pipe burst.
Basically.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coco.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I honestly like having a bunch of engineering people might benefit me the most in this analogy. So we might need our Georgia Tech brethren to communicate this for us.
Yes. Yeah. Let's break that down. And so, of course, then the rivalry game on March 11 up in Charlotte. Noon kick in Charlotte at B of A. That's interesting for a Saturday in March.
So, at least it won't be too hot.
No, but you might have sun in the eyes issues. You might have keepers wearing hats. In the
damn, Franco Harris died.
Yeah, 72. They don't know how yet. 2 days before the 50th anniversary of Immaculate Reception.
Well, I mean, okay, anytime any of these older football players die, like, we don't know how he died. I'm like, probably from all the football.
Yeah,
because they beat the hell out of each other. They've been beating the hell out of each other for years, and now we're really cognizant of the abuse players take on the field. I feel like we just kind of ignored that.
Yeah.
For old school players, so it's probably some of the football.
Yeah. And so and I think Ronnie Hillman from the Denver Broncos is in hospice care for liver cancer apparently too, and he's
good Lord.
I think Ronnie is in his early 30s, so that was a bit of a stunner too.
Hillman's not that old.
No. So got that news out of the NFL this morning.
Well,
But
geez, way to kill the mood, Jarrett.
I
Nice
know,
work.
Steelers and Raiders this weekend. I know, yeah, Ricky. As a part of the anniversary, that's how they schedule it. You got Steelers and Raiders. Gee, how did that happen? And so that'll be an interesting game this weekend. But you come out of the steering, like I said, well past Wednesday, steering back onto the road with the schedule after Charlotte. You come back home for Portland and Gio Savarese. Then it's at Columbus and their head coach, Wilfred Nancy. Then it's Red Bulls here April 1st. So you got 4 out of the first 6 at home. Interesting matchups across the board here. Like I said, you've got chaos. You've got proposed chaos. You've got a rivalry game. Then you've got a team in Portland that we always like to kick dirt on, and then all of a sudden, come tail end of the season, there's that sprint to get into the playoffs, and then they always make somebody's life a living hell. And then Wilfred Nancy and Columbus and Red Bulls, 4 out of your first 6. And all these are Saturdays. We don't get Wednesday stuff for a while. Then you're at NYC, and news came out yesterday from NYC about Acevedo going out on loan. Then you're in Toronto. Then you come back for a Sunday afternoon game against Chicago Fire, at Nashville, at Intermos FC, and that gets you into May. Then Charlotte and Colorado, and this is your first Wednesday. This is your first Saturday, Wednesday that we got to keep an eye on. With Charlotte on May 13th at home. Then you have a quick turn Saturday, Wednesday to visit Colorado visits. Then it's Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. So it's 3 matches in an 8-day span. Charlotte at home, Colorado home, and that's the benefit here. The lone benefit early is that those first 2 matches are at home. Then you go to Chicago, May the 20th for a night game there, and then it gets back to once again Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday again. And so this is what you're looking at in May and June is midweek weekend, midweek weekend, and all of that. So you've got all right, and this is all right. So let's take a peek at May. Separate May out here a little bit. On the road at Intermos, home to Charlotte, 3 days rest Colorado, 2 days rest. You go Wednesday, Saturday. So basically you're done, you regen, you travel, and you play at Chicago. That's nasty. That is a nasty stretch right there with that, 3 and 8 days. Then you get a week, you go to the Purple Team, then you fly up to New England, and then Wednesday, Saturday again, and some of you were talking about it in the Twitch pitch. You end May and start June at Orlando, at home to the Revs, then regen Thursday, fly out Friday, Saturday at LAFC for MLS After Dark. That's ridiculous. That's a tough stretch with that 3 and 8 days. At Orlando, home to the Revs, and then out to LAFC.
Yeah, I mean, home to Orlando, like, even though, like, I wonder if he'll have the roof open with Orlando.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, but it is what it is. It's better than, and you're going to have all of these games where you're like,
yeah. I mean, and Bam is talking about the LAFC schedule too. Carson home, St. Louis away, Philly away in 7-day period. But at least, Bam, you're still outbound. You're not having to go like in, out, in, and have that kind of a thing.
And yes, to the question, Nashville is back in the East because MLS finally got their crap together and knows how geography works. Because Nashville's bounced around back and forth for the sake, I guess.
They're the Milwaukee Brewers.
Well, I mean, they're trying to like balance it. I get it, but like you've been moving that damn team east and west, left and right. Just set them down, for God's sakes.
Yes.
Quit moving things with your league and take it seriously. If you're going to have divisions and you're going to have conferences like this, then do it and get it set one way and just go with it. Quit overcomplicating crap by moving people left and right all over God's creation and trying to play Monopoly like you do with the Monopoly money with Gam and Tam. Jesus.
But yeah, Nashville.
Leave them still.
Yeah, well, hopefully for another year there will be.
Yeah, and watch them move again because I don't know. MLS decides
Detroit.
They have to.
They go to Detroit for an expansion team, so therefore Nashville gets to move again.
Oh my God! Next thing you know, they're going to start breaking out divisions. They're going to put Atlanta in the West because nobody owns a map.
Yeah,
I swear to God, they don't.
The MLS West, or the MLS West, and Atlanta's in it.
I swear to God that nobody does more things to be detrimental to this league than the league itself.
Of course, because when you're in a position of power, then it's like you feel like you have to tinker for the sake of tinkering, and you end up tinkering and making it worse.
Bam, we have a gong for that sort of thing, and
yes,
I don't know if they have that in the A League, but if you say pro rel too loudly in the United States, it actually opens up a wormhole because you have a lot of really toxic conversation about that going back years. So
yes.
Well, I wouldn't mind. I've been wondering. We've been wondering this for a while. That if that doesn't become something that USL does internally, you see USL do it with the teams in their own leagues, like the winner of USL League One can jump, and whoever finishes last in USL, especially now that they have kicked the two teams out, the two teams have left. I really do wonder if that's the direction they go.
Yeah, and sidebar, USL brought out their conference alignment yesterday.
Did they change stuff too? Do they not know how to do math?
It is 12 and 12. Your East is Birmingham, Charleston, Detroit, Hartford, Indy, Loudoun, Lou City, Memphis, the Miami FC, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Tulsa. Your West, Colorado Springs, El Paso, Vegas, Monterey Bay, New Mexico United, Oakland Roots, Orange County, Phoenix, RGV, Sacramento, San Antonio, San Diego. So I think they escaped. Tulsa, obviously being where it is kind of in that in-between. So Tulsa having the Eastern Conference experience, stuck in the Eastern Conference. And so it's 12 by 12 and 34-game regular season, March 11 to October 14. Announce the home openers full schedule will be announced in January. A balanced schedule format. Every team plays each of its conference foes twice. Remaining 12 games played against teams from the opposing conference, 6 at home, 6 away. The result in every team is squaring off for the first time in the USL Championship in a 2-conference format since 2015. So championship final to be determined between November 9, November 13. Single elimination playoffs, fixed bracket format culminating in the final. So 24 teams in the USL Championship next year. And the only one that is out of place a little bit is FC Tulsa, but because of their experience in the East, they kept them in the East, and everybody in Texas stayed in the West. So San Antonio stays in the West, FC Tulsa stays in the East. So USL goes 12 by 12 next year. So that's what we're looking at with the USL Championship. So it appears to be fairly safe, but no, that's the thing with Pro Rel. It's got to be. I think it's going to be with the USL first, and I think that it's going to end up being probably something. Is it the two teams? Is it the? Do you have some kind of a Bundesliga system where the champ goes up and then you try to play like the two worst teams? They have some kind of a playoff, and then the second team from the runner-up in League One gets involved in that kind of a playoff to see if they can work their way in. No ropes there has not been. Not officially anyway. There were some sources out there, some folks posting word that Jack Collison was going to be the new head coach in Huntsville City. But we have not seen anything official about that. He has said his goodbyes on social media, and so we're still waiting to see what happens there. nothing officially official, Coco. Haven't seen anything yet. Huntsville City has signed their first player, but there's nothing officially official involving Jack going to Huntsville. Like I said, there's been some stuff out there that Jack is heading in that direction, but nothing officially official yet. They're adding players, but they've yet to name a coach. So that's the latest on Jack. Jack said his goodbyes on social media, Jarrett. What was it, a week ago, week and a half ago?
It was about a week ago now. Honestly, I think it was early mid last week. I think so.
Yeah, and signing players without a coach is a choice. That is true, Coco. But you have Ian Ayer and
you might have the guy you want. You might just not have announced it.
Yeah, and so it's they're tied to Nashville, and so we'll see. I imagine that Nashville has some input on who they want to have with that next pro franchise. And so there's probably a philosophical attachment, and so we'll see. Any word on how we can request away match tickets? That is a supporters group thing. So I would check with your supporters group and see if they're that far along in trying to figure out 2023 yet when it comes to going on the road. And so we'll see. We'll see what that is. But yeah, I know that you guys will continue to show up, show out, be there the entire time, and be very, very loud on the road. And yet, then Ricky made a point early on, and this was a point with the schedule that Ricky made, and this is true. No Austin or St. Louis on the schedule. No.
I know. I'm very annoyed by the St. Louis part.
No trip to City Park. And no trip to Q2. That is disappointing beyond belief.
It is. I'm disappointed we haven't gotten a chance to go to Q2. I'm also very disappointed we won't get. I'm also disappointed we won't get a chance to see to even if it wasn't here. Even if it wasn't on the road, excuse me. If it was here, like I'm very disappointed you're not going to get to see any of St. Louis.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's the way the schedule's built nowadays because you have so many teams and you're still kind of playing, Calvin ball with it at times. But I am very disappointed because I would like to see those places. I'd like to see those teams. But we don't always get what we want now, do we? Really stupid.
Yeah, I know. It's because it is all about us. It's like what we want is what we want.
Get me the bitter person.
Yes. So here, by the way, here is the St. Louis schedule. They start out, and we had the leaks yesterday that kind of gave us like home opener, away opener, that kind of stuff. They start on the road at Q2 for February 25th. Then it is the home opener against Charlotte, March the 4th. And if you're not playing the chorus to Country Grammar by Nelly, either as an intro or when St. Louis City SC scores, you ain't doing it right. I'm from the Lou and I'm proud. That's got to be a part of the fabric of any celebration that we see there at City Park. Then they go, and this is a rough start for St. Louis. City SC at Austin, home to Charlotte, at Portland, home to San Jose, at RSL. April Fool's Day, they host Minnesota. They're at Seattle. They host Cincinnati. That is their first 8 matches for St. Louis. Good luck on that start.
Try not to die. Not to die.
Man.
They'll be fine.
Yeah. And
it won't be perfect because nothing in life ever is, first of all.
No.
And it's tough when you're an expansion team. It's already going to be tough. We saw it last year. We've seen it every year before. I do like what St. Louis is building. Don't get me wrong. But I have the same question for them I had for Charlotte, that I've had for every team, is you can get the initial part of your roster build correct, and it can still be woefully unfair to deal with because you just don't have the depth to weather the entire season, to weather the travel, to weather, as we've talked about before, playing those miserable games in the South Florida heat, like Like, you can talk to me all you want about, I need to, like, the cold rain night in Stoke. I want to know if you can do it on a 3 p.m. kickoff in South Florida. Like, can he do it? Can he do it at 3 p.m. in May or June in Orlando or Miami?
Yes.
Because that's the one where your energy is sapped completely.
Yeah.
And then you just have to try and survive.
Yes.
Good luck.
Yes.
Try not to die.
Yes. The MLS is back February 25th, day one. You start with Nashville and NYC at 4:30. That's game number one. But you also start, and Bam may need to hold his ears, with El Tráfico out of the blocks on match day one.
Yeah, they're making a marquee matchup. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. First day of the new TV deal. I understand.
Yeah. I can hear Jason already, like, ripping papers at home as he's recovering.
Yes.
I can hear him ripping up
Do we
papers.
know if he is in fact recovering or if he is still celebrating?
It might be dead. We don't know. He's been like living with this Argentina situation, so he might be doing that. But yeah, that's
they had to stop the parade.
I know, it's beautiful.
They had to stop a parade of 4 million people, and only 3 million people live in Buenos Aires.
It's But yeah, he's not the only one. But plenty of people will be mad about it being called El Tráfico again.
Oh, true. Yeah.
It's always very fun when people get mad about being called El Tráfico. I have more fun with that than I have fun with calling it El Tráfico at this point. It's a fine. I think it's a fine way to start the season with El Tráfico. Like, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do something for day one of your new TV contract.
I mean, part of me is also, though, of the mindset of, like, I don't mind, like, if you're going to pander like that, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't like the concept where people they try and get cute with it. Like, up, look what we have. Like, don't treat us like a toddler where you're pulling it like a not even a toddler, like an infant, where you're pulling out my favorite toy.
Got your nose.
Yeah. We got an El Tráfico. No, just give me the damn schedule. Don't get cute about it. We shouldn't have to instead of, like, people like Ricky having to play full Zodiac to find out, to piece together the schedule ahead of time. Like, don't just release the schedule. Yeah. And I know every sport does this, and I hate all of them for it equally. Yes. Because the NFL does, like, the whole schedule release day, and they do like a broadcast, like a ESPN does, like, a broadcast. They're like, it's the NFL schedule release. Show them. Just put the schedule in the paper. I remember as a childhood picking up the TV guide and it was in there. Yeah, I'm getting very old and grumpy right now. I don't care. No, just give me that. It's a schedule. It's going to be a combination of a number of teams that I would probably like to see and some I probably don't want to see. Yes. Honestly, you could have just led with, hey, Atlanta's going to start the season with San Jose, and it's probably going to be stupid. Great. I'm already entertained. You've done your job. Yes. Congratulations.
Kefsey says that you're bringing in the Festivus energy this morning.
I do have many grievances. That is true.
And basically, Sean is like, get off my lawn. But yes. Yeah, no question. And
I hate schedule release shows and all that content. I despise everything.
Because, and you mentioned the 7-letter word that it is content. It is content for the rights holder to sit there and navigate and sit there and hyperanalyze stuff that we want to sift through on our own and sit there and go, hey, I don't think you, Coco, I don't think you need this. Was this a rhetorical question? Asking Jared how he feels about the hour-long Heisman presentation?
I hate it so much. And again, it's the same thing. Like, I know that one I'm slightly more okay with, and the reason being is the Heisman presentation is at least a celebration of individuals who did good things. Like, you're celebrating these players who were great, and I can live with that, honestly. I just don't care about who's playing what.
We need to focus on what's working for local here, you know.
Yeah, whatever.
And Coco loves bringing the darkness out of Jarrett.
None of this is necessary, MLS. But whatever, it's done. It's happening. Schedule's out. I'm happy that San Jose is here. Once again, the Supporter Shield does not carry the same weight it used to because you have an unbalanced schedule. So two teams that might be in the Shield race at the end of the year will not have played the same teams, will not have played basically the same schedule. So the Shield does not matter as much as everybody wants to get mad about. So
right.
The end.
Well, not quite, because Coco, and I think that you are in the majority opinion, the Heisman presentation should be a 15-minute show during halftime of an NBA broadcast. True.
Please let Charles Barkley and company and Ernie Johnson do the Heisman presentation then.
That'd be fantastic. All right, here's your award. Get out of here. We got a game to do. That'd be awesome.
Basically, and Shaq gets pushed into another Christmas tree. There, I've made your show. Give me the money, please.
Yes. Let's see.
Check better be in the mail, TNT.
Yes. Sean wants to know how you feel about the Hall of Fame vote for baseball.
Jesus. Oh, we've never had that conversation on here, have we?
No.
No, my God. I have that conversation on social media all the time. Hall of Fame voters are literally a bunch of people whose philosophy is, hey, look at me. I have a Hall of Fame vote, so I'm going to make some really weird decisions and probably bad decisions. But I don't care because I can, because I've been given a Hall of Fame vote. So here you go. I'm going to make a bad decision. And was it one guy from Philadelphia released his, and it was just his pick was Jimmy Rollins. End of list.
That
was it.
You need to be revoked at that moment. Absolutely.
I love Jimmy Rollins. Jimmy Rollins is one of my favorite shortstops of the modern era.
But
come the hell on.
See what we got into, Bart.
The MLB Hall of Fame vote is just a bunch of not a bunch of. There are some younger voters now, thank God. There are a lot of really old, grumpy voters who really just are miserable about stuff, getting to vote on who gets into the Hall of Fame, and half the time they just make a vote to look political about stuff or just to feel good about themselves, and I just cannot deal with it.
Jared, what you're saying is that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame?
Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds was a Hall of Fame player with the Pirates before his head grew 3 sizes like the Grinch heart.
It's true. I mean,
Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame for my money.
Jared, I have to ask, steroids, they make you actually have great batting technique, right? That's what they make you do?
Absolutely.
Improves your reaction.
Absolutely. Steroids are the reason you're able to square up a baseball better than anyone, arguably in the history of the game. Especially
and then also somehow be really good at stealing bases.
Yeah. Also, for one thing, I have no problem putting the steroid era people in the Hall of Fame in general because baseball was cool with it at the time. Let's not pretend that Bud Selig and company were sitting there like wringing their hands about steroids. They were cool with all of this. And then when they weren't, when Congress gets involved and they can't be cool about it, they stop being cool with it. Let those guys, don't bar those guys from the Hall of Fame because they did steroids.
Give them their own room.
And then you tell me that Bud Selig was a great commissioner and should be in the Hall of Fame. Screw that crap.
Sorry, I was in Milwaukee for that All-Star game. That should be the reason that he shouldn't. But anyway,
the only reason Bud Selig isn't universally despised as a commissioner is because he put into place a commissioner afterward who damn near is trying to kill the sport as a whole.
He's doing a good job. And Bam, the reason that I'm holding Bam up here, welcome to the episode of Old Man Yells at Cloud. That's kind of that's what Walt.
Yes, well, y'all started it. Y'all asked about stupid things that we all love and hate, and then you asked about MLB Hall of Fame voting, which is the most dumb old man. Just the future is now old man energy I can give you.
Welcome to Life of Old Man. And the reason that I brought Bart in was because I forgot. And B, then Bart mentioned 7 midweek games, Bart?
I think that's what I counted, but I'm not good at math. That's not what I went to school for.
Well done. I mean, but I just, some of those 3 and 8 days are hellacious. Just looking off the top of the grid.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, it's weird that we're still playing through the March international break.
I think some teams got the option to do so.
And we still have that many midweek games.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane. I mean, we do have a break in June. Obviously, we're not playing through that for the Nations League, and then we're playing through the Gold Cup. I think the whole league is because you got to play through that.
Not everybody. Yeah, and so Ricky says 4.
Maybe this will force CONCACAF to change the format of the Gold Cup.
They're going to talk about doing it, and then someone's going to set a comically large bag of Scrooge McDuck money on a table, and they'll go, never mind.
Or Cartman and his singles that he bathes in. So
I'm more of a Scrooge McDuck guy, but okay.
Oh, I know, because there were more coins involved. So Soccer for Good OG. So is MLS the most non-controversial, non-scandalous league in the United States?
No,
it's the youngest. We haven't had the biggest ones yet.
MLS still can't get out of their own way half the time.
Oh, and D. Graham, to the point, Open Cup starts in June as well. So we got that.
Well, that's the legs of Open Cup that most people care about. Open Cup's going on right now.
Yeah, but the Open Cup has started, but yeah.
If you want to get really, really picky about it, Open Cup done started because Open Cup has. I'm
not forgetting about that, Bam. I'm not forgetting about the mid-season stupid Cup of Champions Cup thing.
Yeah,
They're gonna. This is an entirely different conversation, but you're eventually going to have a real come to Jesus talk about the structure of rosters in this league, because you're putting so many teams.
Glasses over this. He's that verklempt. Bart's losing his glasses on it.
Jared, we're playing a league, stopping to play a league, playing a league again, and then now apparently playing a league for playoffs. Like, what in the actual hell is going on?
It's Calvin ball. If you ever remember the old Calvin and Hobbes comic, that's what it is. We're just making it up as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever.
I dislike the Leagues Cup for a number of reasons, and I don't dislike the idea of playing Liga MX teams. I think that's fine. I would rather it just be the secondary to CONCACAF Champions League.
Yeah, fine.
There's a lot of issues that we can resolve with CONCACAF Champions League by doing the Leagues Cup well. This is not doing it well.
Yeah, and Bam, to a point, who's ready for LAFC in Atlanta to play 50 matches this year?
Yeah, I mean, but you're going to have you have to have a real conversation about the structure of rosters in Major League Soccer, because you're going to have these guys playing this many matches. Well, you better expand the damn rosters and expand the damn quality of rosters, more importantly.
Yeah,
and you're going to have to expand the rosters overall. You're going to have to allow for more Academy/MLS Next guys to move up and back without restrictions, because that whole contract thing is the dumbest bullshit.
Dumbest thing this league, one of the dumbest things this league does is I can't pull someone up to the academy and play him in a game. Get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, give him the number 50 shirt and let him play. Like, this is what soccer is for.
Hell, give him triple digits like they do in Mexico. It's one of my favorite
that would
things.
be more fun.
Yeah,
but they have to change that, because that's the purpose of U.S. Open Cup matches.
Yeah,
sorry, and I love the U.S. Open Cup, but that's the purpose of them for MLS teams, is to play the rotated kids and let them get some experience. I mean, Miles Robinson, that's where he got his start.
Put Johnny Viall in shirt 110 and go.
Yes.
But you're going to have to expand out the roster size. You have to expand out the budgets, because if you want people to play this many matches, they're going to have to be able to not die in the process. And for that to happen, not only that, you're actually going to want good games. Well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to expand out the rosters and expand out the money, because if you start doing this, they're going to dig into their depth to not die, and then you're going to get a bunch of games where you're like, what the hell are we watching? This isn't MLS. This isn't MLS quality. Well, yeah, because you got them playing 50 some odd games, and they're having to reach deep into the sack and they're pulling out the Kirkland's brand players that they've got.
Well, and you know what
I didn't plan to be this mad this morning. I actually woke up in a good mood. I don't know what the hell happened.
But the thing is, but the thing is here, and we've wound our way into it, is yes, you're going to have the roster problems, but what you also are going to see, and I can guarantee that you'll see this, come Leagues Cup, you will have teams who will tank Leagues Cup because they want to focus on other things. And that's not what, and there'll be some of the marquee teams that will do it. That's not what the front office at Major League Soccer wants from this competition, but I'm afraid you're going to see it. We see it in England all the time with FA Cup and Gummy Bear and all those other.
What I want to see is if the league tries to like discipline them or some crap because of it. Because it's going to happen. Absolutely. Because teams are going to prioritize stuff like, and to your point, John, happens in England all the time. Yeah. If my season is pretty much shot, but I got a run in the Open Cup laid out in front of me, guess who's punting league games for Open Cup games? Me.
We saw that with Sporting Kansas City last year. They made a run in Open Cup because until they brought in the guys that they were bringing in from transfers that really jump-started the tail end of their season, Sporting was like, nope, we're next to last in the table in the West. We're going to invest everything in Open Cup. And you saw
which you should do in that situation. Absolutely the right decision. Go for it. Mm-hmm. Orlando, same thing. And I know Orlando made the playoffs. I don't care. I know Orlando was right there. But you get a run in the Open Cup, you go for it. You always go for it. Don't ever punt it. I still think Nashville kind of punted their Open Cup game, the one where they lost. I thought it was a really stupid decision. But yeah, teams are going to decide what they want to focus on and what they don't. And I want to see if the league gets mad, gets in a huff, and how the NBA gets mad at teams that that rest players, when Popovich rests guys. I want to see if that happens.
Yeah, really. Bart Burns says it's not the roster size, it's the cap. If your player's numbers 20 through 40, only making $65K, then you're not getting quality soccer. Then you're getting USL level quality of soccer, and you can't have 20 academy players either.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's what Jaron and I are talking about, is allowing academy players to be more able to fill those spots on the roster. Because no, you're not going to be able to go out and find a quality starter or even stopgap guy in, spot 35 through 40. Mm-hmm. But what you can do is bring up an academy player, because would you rather go find Mikey Ambrose to just continue to fill in that spot when you need him to play those midweek games, or the super draft is today, Rose.
5 o'clock.
Speaking of, or would you rather go just get your, academy left back and say, hey man, go get some minutes? That's what we're evaluating here. And no shade at Mikey Ambrose, but that's the level of player we're talking about in that spot on the roster. We have to make it easier to bring academy or MLS Next guys up into the senior roster so that they can play real minutes and again continue to develop better than a 32-year-old journeyman who's been around the league for 12 years. It's
Dylan Butler from MLSsoccer.com, slated to join us in 10 minutes. And so we have 10 more minutes of this, and then you guys can hop back on at 10:30, and we can continue this. Super Draft is today. And all I'm really going to say is, and I mentioned it yesterday, I'm just going to give you the one-liner that I gave you yesterday. The national analysis on Atlanta United is wrong. So do your own investigations with the facts that you have in evidence. So don't even look at the national punditry, and I'll put that word in quotation marks, and analysis. It's flat wrong. So and ropes, right on, Bart, make it easier for academy players to take spots. That's what we're.
I'm not the only one who says this.
True.
Been saying it.
Yeah.
Jason's been saying it. John's been everyone says it in MLS. It's we need to make it easier for this to happen, because it's also the problem. The reason they don't do it right is because it's a way to circumnavigate the salary cap restrictions, which is dumb as all get out.
Yeah.
Oh, and probably some stupid thing to do with the NCAA, which I care zero about what the NCAA has to say about eligibility and amateur.
Did the NCAA just get themselves a new president?
Yeah, no, they got themselves a governor.
governor. I'm sorry, a governor.
Charlie
They got a
Baker.
governor.
Yeah, Charlie Baker.
Got a governor.
The
They
ex-governor.
got a governor.
The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, who is now in charge.
It's like the difference between having a program and a program.
It looks like 2 games guaranteed in Leagues Cup because you have groups of 3.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if here's what I want from Atlanta United when it comes to the Leagues Cup: either don't care about it at all, or go full tilt. You're winning the damn thing. There's no in between. No in between. Because if you make the semifinal, you've wasted it. I'm sorry.
Hey, you're 1-1 in the group stage. There you go.
Hope you lose in the knockout round. Oh, by the way, Jarrett, I don't know if you can see, but I've got my "Don't Tweet at the Croots" t-shirt on.
Thank you so much.
Is my old man energy for today, because these people out here.
Because today is a national holiday.
I don't even think it's an old man energy, sir. I think it is a healthy, respectable energy to have on the day, because don't tweet at recruits.
Yes.
The only thing you can tweet at them is congratulations.
Yes.
And it's only when it's your school tweeting about this kid signing. That's all. Say, hey, congrats, welcome home, whatever you want to say.
The only other thing I accept about tweeting at recruits is like tweeting about recruits is if they do something wild, like when Isaiah Crowell brought out a bulldog puppy.
or when Travis Hunter turned the world upside down last year.
Yes.
And he's probably going to turn the world upside down this year, considering he's portaling. And
we also have a kit leak, by the way.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
For whom?
Us. For Atlanta.
Oh.
It is very much the OG 5 stripes with a little bit more gold.
Okay.
Around the collar and side.
Okay. So
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's there. And
I just wanted stripes this year, not guitar strings.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know what? That's a kit that would work for Nashville, considering Nashville likes the music thing. Like I wouldn't have hated that. Like a guitar string sort of thing for Nashville. Let them do it.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Ricky says if we make the semi to get into CCL. So, I think he says.
I guess I'm not quite sure, because that is also expanding.
Watch that change before we're done.
Yeah, really. By the end of the show,
you're under the assumption that the CONCACAF Champions League format is staying consistent for more than a year. Like that's unfortunately the wrong.
Hell, the Club World Cup format's changing. Everything is changing.
Yes. So all right. So what did Ropes put into the timeline from MLSU? Okay. It is the kit. Okay, it is the alleged kit. Okay, so that is the alleged kit. A little shinier gold, a little whiter stripes, allegedly.
Yeah.
Yes. So
no one can authenticate the veracity, but it does feel like an MLS, an Adidas kit.
Yeah.
It feels like an Adidas kit is the meanest thing I've heard this morning, and I've been mad all morning.
Wow.
Hey, they had the best kits at the World Cup, so overall, they're the ones who made the Mexico kits. They made the Argentina kits. They made the Japan kits.
And to Badger's point, if Nashville did 6 strings, or if Memphis did 6 strings, I think that'd be pretty cool. Nick's replicas don't have the stars. Yeah,
do 5 strings and just pretend it's a tenor.
There you go.
Okay,
and so Cardinal Isidore's Arch Manning official to Texas.
I thought that was done official. Okay.
Well,
he had to sign.
He signed.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Sorry. I thought he had already done it. I apologize. My bad. Carry on.
All right, I'm going to ask a real question.
Why?
Jarrett. I know. I'm sorry. Jarrett.
Yes.
The one position we need to fill in the Super Draft today.
Depth.
What best available?
You ain't getting a starter. It's going to be best available athlete.
I mean,
that's where I'm at.
You maybe you do. Like I don't love the never say never. Like I've watched way too much of the movie Fievel as a child. I don't like the idea of never say never, but yeah, it's gonna be tough to find a starter. Like it's tough. I'm best available.
I mean, I've given up on trying to find starters in the Super Draft, at least an immediate starter.
Yeah.
But if you can find a quality center back to add depth to your roster this year, I think that's fine.
You found guys who have contributed. We know about Julian Gressel. We know about Miles Robinson. But remember, the Super Draft also gave you, It also gave you Aiden McFadden, who started games for you last year. It gave you John Gallagher, who started for you, and then you got money for, and now is playing a lot of minutes. Anderson Asiedu, who's playing still in Birmingham.
Anyone
who's made
who
a really good
says
career for himself.
The super draft is unnecessary doesn't understand the weirdly distinct advantage the college system gives U.S. soccer, and the fact that it just gives you 3 to 4 more years to develop.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that college soccer is the reason we're going to be great. But like, if that's where you're getting Miles Robinsons for your U.S. men's national team, Sean Johnson's, Matt Turner, a college product, those are
Andre Blake.
Andre Blake is a college, right? Those are positives. But that's
he's not a U.S. national team player. I wish he was.
That's positive for, the college soccer system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And to the point that was made by a couple of folks, Ricky is looking at the GAs, and so is D. Graham. So you're probably looking at center back. It's Akpononu from Bowling Green, Hamidi Diop from Clemson, Bombito from New Hampshire. If you're looking at fullback, it's Joey Skinner from Clemson. Those are the GAs, the Generation Adidas players that are out there on the board. You
might get lucky and find a backup striker. You might get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah. So that's
we might need a starting striker.
Yeah. You might. I mean, Daryl DK came out of the draft. You can find guys there, and it's. I think to your point, there is a little nuance here that needs to be discussed about all of this, because it's a matter of like, you're going to find guys who can contribute here, but you're not necessarily looking like. Unlike other sports, and baseball might be the closest we have to it, you're not looking at the draft as, hey, we're going to try and find a cornerstone for the franchise here. Like, you're not going to do that. You're going to do that in basketball and football if you can.
Yeah.
Baseball, not as much, although it's kind of shifting more so in that direction. We're big name guys are kind of expected to be ready sooner. But you also are finding guys who can contribute to your team. And to your point, about the benefits of the college system, I always like to look at a guy like a Miles Robinson, who, when Miles Robinson was out of high school, I don't think anyone pegged him for being arguably the best center back in the United States and possibly in CONCACAF. And that's what he became.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people pegged him for that. And you've sent guys to college who have gone on to become really good and get a chance to play pro. For instance, I don't think Bryce Washington's going to stick in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But Bryce Washington went to college.
Yep.
And now has a chance to go play professionally. Garrison Tubbs might be your next homegrown signing. Went to Wake Forest, was an academic All-American as of
Chol went to Wake Forest. These are guys who continue to. He's not maybe the best example, but like, to your point, Jared, it's just another way to get development outside of having to be on a salary cap restricted professional roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's the problem we're going to have. Again, if we're not able to bring up academy players to our senior team, then having them go to college, which, by the way, the Atlanta United Academy, fantastic at putting kids in college. And that's really a good thing. I know people try to downplay that. That is a positive. That means they're pretty darn good. Mm-hmm. And it gives you a chance to develop more and possibly be a professional in the future.
Yeah. Also give them a chance to go to college, which, look, I don't know what everyone else's childhood and home life was like, but for some people, that's a thing that isn't always guaranteed. And, you'll get situations where, someone gets a chance to go play in college and get a chance to go get an education. They might be the first in their family to do that. And that's a big deal for people.
Yep. So are you guys coming back at 10:30?
Probably.
Well, there you go. All right. So Bart at Bartimus Prime 19, he's actually multitasking as he always does. But with the show being the priority, we appreciate
the show is a priority.
Being the holiday season and everything.
I'm still fighting with Adobe Illustrator today. So,
Adobe Illustrator. Yay. I
am in a cold war with Adobe on principle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got 5 120-inch banners that I'm creating. So every time I make the slightest change, it freezes for about 7 minutes. Yeah.
120.
I still have Cool Edit 2.1 that I use for editing audio, so there's that.
Well, there.
10-foot banners? Man, those are big banners, Bart.
120-inch banner.
It's a big Twinkie.
Yeah, I guess it is 10 foot. I didn't go to school for maths.
I didn't either. I was trying to figure out what was going on. Oh, Nashville can use the 5 lines horizontally, called a staff line, and insert music nodes. EGBDF. Nice. I like that idea, Emilio.
Someone mentioned Chris Mueller.
Stop giving Nashville ideas.
Because again, Chris Mueller couldn't cut it Hibs. MLS superior to Scotland. Bye.
Yeah, basically. All right, so Jarrett's gone. He'll be back at 10:30. Bart reminding us once again, because today is early National Signing Day, don't tweet at Croots.
Yeah.
So Bart's going to go fight Adobe Illustrator, and Dylan Butler's going to come on for a half hour, and so they will return at 10:30 as we are really getting into it this morning, and that is why we like Wall Pass Wednesdays. But before Dylan pops in, I guess it's time to read a promo. So let me get to the music aspect of things, and then we can work our way through. Where am I here in the music? At 15? That should work. We get that. All right. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air. One place you need to go. It's a Lemonized Service. Proud sponsors of everything SDH. QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch. Deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, they've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonized Service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. Makes it easy to work with realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, offering a green way to get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Lemonize is different than Febreze or other masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when we reach under the sink or above us in the cupboard, we pull out the masking agent, spray it in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent. Masking the odor. You're not attacking the issues like our friends at Lemonize do with their proven scientific formula, destroying odors down to the molecule. Pricing easy by either cubic feet or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go. It's the Lemonized Service, but this is where I grab my pen. Here's your homework assignment. Go to the website, lemonize.com, but after the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world you are addressing them from so they can help you with your issues. So it's ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, lemonize.com /Atlanta. Rotor-free, clean, fresh air, proud sponsors of everything SDH. And we welcome in Dylan Butler to hour number 2. Dylan, it has been a standard Wall Pass Wednesday, which means it has been half past crazy. Welcome back. How was Thanksgiving? How was the high school hoop season? Because today is a national holiday. It is early National Signing Day for high school football athletes heading to the next level. And the tail end of hour number 1, Bart Keeler from the SoccerForUS pod, who joins us occasionally, he broke out his shirt today. Don't tweet at Croots. Don't tweet at Croots. That's what Bart was wearing today. And that's always sound advice. So how have things been over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, good. Busy, but good. There was a soccer tournament of some sort. I'm not sure if it was a preseason friendly type of thing, but they just wrapped that up, so that was fun to watch. MLS preseason and regular season is right around the corner. Right in the midst of hoop season right now. Man, you brought back flashbacks for me on signing day, man. That was I remember in a previous life having to go to schools. I would have like a whole checklist. Like, all right, 7:45 I have to be at this school, and then 9:15 I have to be at this school, and then 11 o'clock at it was the worst day. And then to go on air and do like a wrap-up show at night. It was a happy day for kids and parents, and not for me. That was a stressful day. I'm glad I'm not in that world right now.
As we are all running around, yeah. So when this show is over, that's when I put on my Cruton hat, and the other alter ego works its way through and covers signing day. where it's optimism begins anew for college football fans all over the place with unrealistic expectations for 17 and 18-year-old men. So that's how it rolls. All right, so we got a lot to talk about today on a couple of different fronts. We have the schedule release, and it's interesting because we go from particular fans and things like that, and you're always looking at your team, sitting there saying who you want to play, and if you've got a rough start, and if you don't have a rough start, you got matches at home. It's a snowbird schedule. Here in Atlanta, folks wanted to go to Austin because Austin came here last year. They don't get to go to Q2. They don't get to go to City Park and take on St. Louis. So that's the minor uproar here in Atlanta this morning. When the schedule came out yesterday, post leaks, what were some of your 30,000-foot takeaways on it?
Well, I mean, to be fair, it was now I will preface this by saying I had a basketball game last night. So I took a quick glance at it and then drove west and dealt with the traffic and got a little bit of a haircut first and then did my broadcast. So I didn't do a deep dive, to be fair, but I viewed it from the what would my work season look like.
There you go.
And it's going to be busy on Saturdays. That is for sure. A whole lot of, other than the Fox games, right? Where you've got an earlier game on a Saturday and then that game on the Sunday, which I've always liked as well. You've got a whole lot of 7:30s, 8:30s, 10:30s. So it's going to be busy.
And Coco is asking how many different home venues is NYC going to have this year? It's only 2, right?
As of now, there are only 2. Yes.
True. Yes. Thank you for
there are 2 TBDs on the schedule. It's going to depend on how the New York baseball teams fare during their seasons. So I guess if you're a hardcore New York City fan, you pretty much are hating the Yankees and Mets because you don't want them to make the postseason, because then that you've got a postseason venue or I should say a late season, because obviously the schedule kind of this year goes back to its normal state, right? So you've got late October regular season games as opposed to playoff games this year. But and as I thought it would be more balanced. I thought there'd be more City Field games, but as I've said here before, I do like the idea. And you heard in the release, Brad Sims of NYCFC said, look, now that we've got a home in Queens, we want to have our fans get acclimated to that and to the area. So there's more home games at City Field this year, which I think is a good thing. I would hope that they would trend more towards City Field going forward, right? I don't know if you have to have a certain amount of games at Yankee Stadium or not, but the breakdown, I don't have it in front of me, but I know there's more Yankee Stadium games, but not by many. And I would hope going forward that trend would go more towards or skew more towards City Field.
One of there are a couple of other topics that I wanted to get into with you this morning. One, Leagues Cup, because Leagues Cup was a big discussion in hour number 1. It kind of morphed from the schedule and looking at the murderous travel that you're going to see sometimes in 3 matches in 8 days for some teams, to the Pablo Maurer Sam Stejskal article that came out yesterday, where there are, and this is the wording from Pablo Maurer, MLS is considering big changes to its playoff format. Changes would more than double the number of postseason matches. One potential avenue is shift to a World Cup-style competition with 4 groups of 4 teams. The second sentence, obviously, when you have a new broadcast partner that is looking to maximize revenue, you would try to find a way to get more games on your product. So it is told to Maurer and to Stejskal, total overhaul of the postseason, World Cup-style competition, top 8 teams in each conference advance into a group stage, the top 8 group stage finishers advancing into a single elimination bracket. Multiple sources told Maurer league still ironing out the finer points of the postseason plans. But the rough outline of all this was shared with club soccer officers during meetings in Florida last week. So there you go. We could have an overhaul of the playoff format. What say you, Dylan Butler?
Yeah, I think we have actually discussed this before. I was trying to think in my head, like, is this Groundhog's Day? Because I know that we've discussed this before.
Right.
This topic has come up before, and look, this is kind of how these things always happen, right? Like, they quote sources, but it's usually like the league floats it to whether it's the Athletic or SI or whatever, and you want to take the temperature of the fan base, right, and kind of see what that idea might feel like. I don't like it. I don't see what I think it seriously lessens the regular season, right? Like, if you're gonna then go ahead and play almost another kind of season, like a World Cup group stage, like the group stage part of it, I don't get. You and I are both team 2 legs of playoffs, and to me, that's like that's the way that you add extra games, right? Like, I like the idea of say a wild card game, and then even if you want to increase the field, right, have a wild card game, and then go into 2 legs, going through the playoffs, and then you've got your cup. But they generally don't go backwards, right? In these things, you try to go forwards and be more innovative. So since it's the second time around that we're hearing about this, my guess is it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
No. And then if this was to happen, this gets into our Leagues Cup discussion that we were having in hour number 1, because we go from talking about the schedule to the places that you wanted to go and your starts, and then it's like, okay, then there's this month gap where you're playing Leagues Cup. And you are, and our Australian watcher, Bam, who was up at 1 o'clock in the morning when we started the show, his time. Basically, you could have teams playing 50 matches in a year with the way things could be laid out, with regular season, probable playoffs, and then Leagues Cup if you get out of group stage.
Open Cup, Champions League.
Yeah, and so right now, you're looking at the possibility, probably fairly certainly sure, that under the current roster constructs and limitations that we're seeing in Major League Soccer, you're going to see teams tank a tournament, probably Leagues Cup, maybe, because of all of this layout, because of the inability to bring players up from your MLS Next or any your academies and things like that. Because of the constrictions that you have in player availability, you're going to have marquee teams not being as involved as the league wants them to be in these tournaments, or in multiple tournaments, probably, just because of how things are structured. And that sucks if you're trying to put a new face on things, but that's the reality of how things are right now. We see it in England. I made the point, we see it in England with FA Cup and Gummy Bear and all those other ones. Teams that are marquee teams are checking out of these other tournaments that don't mean anything. And you're going to see teams,
and they don't have the same roster constraints.
Right. And they still don't have the same roster constraints, and the roster constraints in Major League Soccer are going to make it worse, I think. So I think Major League Soccer is going to have to have a come to their Lord and Savior meeting about roster constriction and cap constriction because of all this stuff.
For sure. I would imagine that the easy solution would be a freer sort of releasing of players from your MLS Next Pro team up to the first team. But again, that's just going to mean that, an Open Cup game, or as you said, a Leagues Cup game, you're going to have second, tier players in games that you're hoping would be showcase games.
Yeah.
So for sure, I think that's the the struggle, the wrestling match right now. Like, you want, as a league, to grow your brand and play on this high level. And listen, I applaud the fact that you could be playing 50 matches. Like, great. That's exactly what a Liverpool or a Manchester City or a PSG do, right? But they also don't have any roster constraints. So I think if you want to do that, then you've got to have a lot more roster flexibility, have more salary flexibility.
Yeah.
So that's the yin and the yang of it, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm in, and I know that we're old men shouting at clouds here, which we've been doing a lot this morning on the show. But it's like you're in the first year of a new TV deal. You know that your broadcast partners, they have a certain level of expectation when it comes to their broadcast product. It's like, okay, we have this product, we're broadcasting all these games, we have all these competitions, we have all this stuff laid out. There is that what's the mug this morning, by the way?
I went. I'm never good with showing it. It's right there.
There it is.
It's a lasso.
It must be a goldfish. There we go.
Yeah.
And you have all of these things that are squared away here, and I would imagine when we start to see whether it's an Open Cup or Leagues Cup or what have you, that you're going to see these marquee teams starting to tank. I imagine there's going to be some conversations from the broadcast partners in the league sitting there going, what in the wide world of sports is going on here? And it may force the league's hand when we see things that the broadcast partner is not happy with, considering that they've invested 2 double extra large in this over the next 10 years.
No, for sure. That's what makes the world go around, right? Like the broadcast fees and the TV deals. It's funny when you were saying that about seeing maybe youth players or second team players. I always think of like Liga MX, where exactly when that guy is on the field because they've got like a number 236 on the back of their jersey.
Yes.
So how funny would that be? Just seeing a whole bunch of like triple digit numbers on both teams running around in a game that you're trying to sell as super important and a battle between the two leagues.
Yeah, and I get the glass and steel monolithic office building that is in charge of the Apple and the TV and the Plus. They're sitting there going, the look on their face like the Leonardo DiCaprio, the meme where he's kind of pointing at the screen, holding the beer and the cigarette, going. You have one of those moments because all the games
like looking like, wait, I don't have this guy on my depth chart for like the star players for Atlanta. I don't have this guy. Like,
no,
who's this guy?
Yeah, but I think what it can do is it can give the league the opportunity to sit there and check the development of all of the academies and all the teams that are investing in this way. And it can showcase the academy if you give it the chance to do so, but you can't do it under the current constraints of the roster build and displays.
And therein lies the
it's the conundrum of the morning.
Correct.
On a Wall Pass Wednesday. All right, so I know that we've got you for another 5 minutes or so because you have it's high school hoops, right?
It is high school hoops. I covered the last 2 games I covered featured Cayenne Anthony, who is Carmelo Anthony's son.
Wow. Okay.
So Carmelo was we did a game, Cardinal Hayes and Christ the King, a whole lot of Division I players. John Calipari was courtside, as was Carmelo Anthony and Lala. Watching their son. He's only a sophomore, Cayenne Anthony. Somehow already has an offer from Syracuse. So go figure.
Gee, I wonder how that happened. All right, so we've also had some roster movement. Some players have been shifting from one place to another, whether it's out of country or coaches have shifted. Wilfred Nancy's now in Columbus. A big
move just happened too. Just as we were speaking, it became official. Aaron Herrera from Real Salt Lake to CF Montreal, which I think is a terrific move. I think CF Montreal, you have to give them a lot of credit. They've made some, I think, really good moves. Like first, thinking back to getting Alistair Johnston, right, from Nashville. I thought that was a steal.
Yeah.
And I think this could potentially be another one of those steals as well. I've been a big Aaron Herrera fan. I love the move for Montreal to get him.
Yeah, and I know that Jossie Zardes has moved. I'm trying to think of the others off the top. And here's a move that's really going to shake the foundations of everything. Mazatlan, the Kraken, grabbing Akeloba probably from Nashville, and Nashville sitting there going, "Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, getting Akeloba off our hands." When it is silly season. Super draft today. We are flying around, which is kind of what we need to do on Wednesdays. Super draft today. Do you have any expectations? When we talk about super draft, when you go and wander into super draft discussions, what is your legitimate expectation of a super draft? Just that it happens and no one gets hurt?
No, to be fair, I think there's still it's not as much obviously as in the past, but there's still value there, right? Like you could still get a guy who could play a role for your team, right? Like I don't think you can really see it beyond the first round anymore. But I mean, look at like the Revs these last couple of years, right? Henry Kessler and Brandon Bye and even Tajon Buchanan, right? These are all guys who were selected in the super draft. So, I would be lying to you if I could tell you I've watched any film on any of these guys.
Right.
My understanding is that, there's some wingers who are available in this one. There's some central defenders. It feels like central defender is a position that does well in the super draft.
Yeah.
Walker Zimmerman, another guy, right? Selected in the super draft. So I would say I kind of do miss the old days of, being there. And I remember I was there for so many, but like I remember Josie Altidore being selected, up on the stage, I think with Lallis and might have been Bob Bradley at the time too. Those were the old days of it, right? Like when it was, you hit the hotel bar the night before trying to figure out what the trades are, all that kind of stuff. Like it's not happening anymore. Because of obviously all these other mechanisms that the league has to get players, and so many of the youth players are obviously coming now through academies. So it dilutes the water a little bit with a thing like the super draft. But I think there's still some players there like that you can see, especially those high end guys, the Generation Adidas guys who could have an impact. Like you look back at the last couple of drafts, there's been some misses obviously, but there's also been some hits along the way as well.
No doubt about it. And 5:00, we'll keep an eye on super draft. Ricky Ricardo, when you were discussing your last two high school basketball games, he goes, Lala was there. That's the best part of all you just said.
So Ricky, funny part here is, and we had it we mentioned it on our broadcast. It's on Varsity Media on like YouTube.
Yep.
You can go back and watch the game, but Kai and Anthony, like there's no room in this gym at Cardinal Hayes in the Bronx, right on the Grand Concourse there, just in the shadows of Yankee Stadium. Kai and Anthony drives baseline and like almost runs right into Lala. Like she pushes him back, like, get out of here. Thankfully, Cayenne's, he's still a rail thin boy, so easy to push him back. But yeah, no, that was pretty funny, and we had fun with that on the broadcast as well.
And I just had a Sebastian Telfair flashback. You're mentioning those kinds of teams.
Yeah.
The rail splitters, the rail splitters
from Lincoln. Yeah.
So Varsity Media on YouTube if you want to catch Dylan. And the pipes and the crowded gyms and Lala and the continuing sagas of Anthony's watching folks get to the next level. All right, go for the promo. What's going on? What do folks need to know other than Varsity Media on YouTube for Dylan? What's going on?
Yeah, appreciate that. My next broadcast is it's supposed to be Friday at 7:45, and I think weather issues push it up to noon on Friday now. So a noon tip-off between Iona Prep and Cardinal Hayes. Cardinal Hayes has Ian Jackson, who is the number 2 ranked junior in the country by ESPN. So that's a lot of fun. One of the big reasons why Calipari was in the gym the other day. So I've got that, and then I've got a cool one for OSDB Sports. Gonna speak with Carly Lloyd tomorrow. Just a little catch up with Carly, and kind of obviously she just came off of broadcasting with Fox in Qatar, and kind of seeing how she's doing with her post-playing career. Snow forecast, Jason. I don't know, man. I can never get caught up with those things. Like you always feel like
inches.
We could get less than an inch, or it could be 12 to 8 if it goes a certain way. Like I don't deal with it. I look out my window. Do I have to shovel? Yes. No. Okay.
Sam Champion sits there and says one thing. Amy Freeze would say something else, and then you're just like, yeah, okay, we'll go to the mid ground. All right.
This is what those guys live for, man. It's all about like the snow forecast and
dude. It is
about
breaking news and breaking wind. That's what it's all about when it comes to the news business. We'll catch up with you next week, my friend. And
actually, no, John. I have a rare week off, so I want to wish you and everybody watching and listening happy holidays. Certainly have a great time with your families. Yes. Some time away from the sport if it's even possible. But we'll catch up in the new year for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And just so Dylan, thank you for everything that you've done with us here in 22. We'll catch up with you in 23. And then we get to talk about all of the soccer-based Christmas stuff that you got and how you celebrate your New Year. Get out of here. Go to your conference call. We'll catch up with you after the first of the year.
Everybody.
Be good. Dylan Butler, you got a week off. Nicely done. All right, so we'll catch up with Dylan in 2023. It's good to have him always hanging out with us here at SDH on Wall Pass Wednesdays, where anything is possible, and Dylan is definitely a part of all of that process. Once again, Dylan_Butler at OSDB Sports and MLSsoccer.com. And so here we go with a couple of other pieces of news. Marta has, and this is just like updates and stuff. So Marta signed a new 2-year deal in Orlando. Quote, I've been very happy during my time here in Orlando. Excited to continue as part of the Pride for the next 2 years. Seb Hines says, we know last season's injury was a difficult one, but she's been working extremely hard toward her recovery. We know she will have a point to prove when she returns in 2023. So that's news out of Orlando. Houston Dash had named Sam Leahy as a head coach. He coached with OL Reign since 2013. Most recently served as head assistant coach, leading the team to the best overall record in the NWSL in 2022. So a couple of pieces of news out of the NWSL. I know that Bam talked about it briefly. We need to kind of figure out how we can talk about the stupidity of everything that went on with Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory. Don't throw flares at players. Don't come onto the field and charge and try to think that just because you're mad at a league about having a neutral site means that you can storm onto the field and slug a player and throw stuff at them. It's stupid. Stupidity down here once again. So yeah, when Bam is with us, we can kind of get into it a little more. But yeah, those scenes out of Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City were disgusting on the weekend, and we're better than that. One other thing that I wanted to talk about briefly was what Tariq Panja is keeping an eye on, and it was yesterday. Shakhtar Donetsk is in court against FIFA tomorrow, looking for €40 million in damages after losing players for nothing because of emergency transfer rules created following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So we'll keep an eye on that with the Sports Top Court. Begin hearing more than $40 million claim. A hearing at CAS in Lausanne, Switzerland, centers on a temporary rule by FIFA that allowed overseas players on Ukrainian teams to suspend their contracts and sign for teams elsewhere. The Ukrainian league stopped play for about 6 months, restarted in August. Shakhtar's lost several of their players without receiving a transfer fee under a regulation first implemented in March. FIFA rulings scheduled to be in effect at least until June next year. Under FIFA's emergency statute change, the suspension is only temporary, meaning that many players will eventually have to return to their host teams in Ukraine as their contracts continue to run. But with little sign of the war ending, many of those players may be out of contract by the time FIFA lifts a temporary order, which would enable them to leave as free agents. Sergei Paukin told the New York Times, "We want fairness and justice. On one side, FIFA protects players, but it should also protect clubs," end quote. Millions of dollars in talent have left for nothing since the invasion started, losing a crucial source of revenue it requires to balance the books. And there's some great stuff from Matt Crafton at The Athletic and Sergei Paukin. So requested reading is Tariq Panja's article, Catching Up with Shakhtar Donetsk, as they head to court to try to regain funds from free player transfers. And Jarrett Smith joins us, rejoin here at the bottom of the hour. And so, we've been getting, I think that we've kind of morphed the discussion, Jarrett, from the idea of schedule release to the iniquities of the current roster setup and the current cap setup. And it really is going to present an issue for the league in year number one of a new television contract. So things, and I don't know if the glass and steel towers that they have quite processed this. And so Jarrett and Bart are back for the final half hour this morning. So I think that we've really gotten into something here, guys, with the first year of a television contract and the pitfalls of the possibility / probability that you could have teams not interested in tournaments because, dude, we got, we're chasing after a championship here. Why should we be involved here when we have the current constraints that are there? So, Jarrett, go ahead and fire off, and we'll pick up the discussion where we left off. And I want to get back to the Pablo Maurer new playoff thing, too, in just a second.
Sir, I'm more of a Mike Allstott style. I need a little bit of runaway to get going. I can't just I don't have that quick start stop. I actually have to get momentum going.
Well, the momentum happened leading into 10 o'clock, sir.
But then I came back and you're talking about, Ukrainian situation. I'm not going to be grumpy about that. That's a tonal shift for me. So now I got to build back momentum.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Let's bring it back then. Let's bring back what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Start expanding your investments in teams. Start letting academy kids, as everybody pointed out in the Twitch pitch, and they're not wrong. Let kids if you want academy kids to play in games, be it league games, be it Leagues Cup, be it Super Mario Brothers Rainbow Road, Magical Cup, be it whatever it might be, let them play. This is the stupidest damn thing because look. NBA teams have a mechanism for bringing up people from the G League.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah, they do.
NFL players can sign people off the practice squad. Major League Baseball has the shuttle from Gwinnett that runs to Atlanta. For years, it was the little puddle jump from Richmond, Virginia to Atlanta. You can bring, and hell, they brought up Michael Harris from AA. You can bring the people you're grooming for tomorrow. You can bring them up in other sports. And in other countries, you can do this. You can bring somebody, from your B team or out of your academy. Hey, I want him for this game. We need a body, or we want to see what he does with the opportunity, or we just want him to experience game day. He might be the last guy on the bench, and that's okay. But for God's sakes, get your head out of your ass, MLS. Start letting teams make this decision. If Philadelphia gets the league in hand again and they want to basically play what used to be the remnants of Bethlehem Steel, then let them. Mm-hmm. If they're under the umbrella of the organization, let them. Now, if you want to get picky about if someone's got an affiliation but it's not under the umbrella, fine, have that conversation. If in that case, incentivize it. Tell them, hey, if you got an MLS Next Pro team or in the past a USL team, then let them bring those kids through. If the season is cooked, or if you've got it wrapped up and you're going to rest guys for a game and you want to play kids, it should be your decision to do.
Yep.
Why not? Don't tell me these kids in the academy can't come up and play because you got stupid-ass roster rules from the late 90s that you have only decided to build on instead of actually changing and making better. get your head out of your ass, let teams make these decisions for themselves. Like I said, and I think Atlanta would take advantage of it. We know Philadelphia would because of the way they're built.
Yep.
We know a lot of these teams would do that.
Yeah.
So just get it done, MLS. Catch up with the damn modern era.
Okay, so I think Jarrett's back to being fired up, Bart.
Yeah, that sounded like he got just enough runway.
He warmed up the end. He's good.
Yeah, he's ready. I think the issue that I'm going to have is just we're seeing right now with this World Cup and then everything that's led up to it, the amount of injuries that we've had that are quite frankly overuse injuries, right? Be it a muscle strain. I mean, some of even the ACL tears that we're seeing right now are, I think, due to undue stress on the human body.
Yep.
We have gone through almost 2 years now of testing the limits of the human physical capabilities. And we've seen that there are limits. That's really just irresponsible and can't be good for your investment, which are the people that the players that you've purchased to play on your team.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying Miles Robinson's injury was definitely an overuse injury. I'm not saying that that's what Brad Guzan's was. But Gutman, Lennon, Adaruju, all these guys seem to be more overuse injuries. And I will go as far to say that I think that Miles and Brad were not helped by the overuse of all their muscles, ligaments, and tendons throughout the past 2 years.
Yeah. All right, so let me move to a topic that I got into with Dylan. I don't know if you guys saw this with Pablo Maurer, and it is the tweaking, allegedly, of the playoff format. And here's how it was described. Maurer and Stejkal have an article up. But here's the bottom line.
It sucks.
The plan is for a total overhaul of the MLS postseason featuring a World Cup-style competition, top 8 teams each conference advancing into a group stage, with the top 8 group stage finishers advancing into a single elimination bracket. Multiple sources told Maurer league is still ironing out the finer points of their postseason plans. Rough outline of all of it was shared with club soccer officers during meetings in Florida last week. And as the point that was made when Dylan was up, just give me 2 legs. I don't need like tentacles and World Cup and group stage and making it look like the National Hockey League where you've got an 8 seed and working your way through. Just give me 2 legs. That's all I want. Then your TV partner's happy. You've got more inventory instead of allotting more space for more teams and having a team that's probably a 500 team or below 500 team coming in as that 8th one and figuring it out that way. Just give me 2 legs. That's all I want. But it seems like because if you're having this kind of a discussion, then it sounds like you've already made up your mind that this is what you're going to do to make up for TV inventory, when the easiest thing for me would be just to sit there and look, play 2 legs. They do it in Liga MX all the time. Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday, Sunday. It's not hard. But you want to come up with all these new shiny objects and ideas. And once again, it gets into that whole idea of, I think you're risking watering something down by trying to create all of these different, look what we're being edgy, and finger pistols going into the air for something.
So I have been notified that I should change my ire. So I'm going to change. I'm going to keep my ire towards MLS for a number of reasons.
Okay.
There's a lot of things MLS is doing well. Like look where the league is compared to where it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Jared,
going to
I don't
also
know if you can be giving out compliments like that right now.
I can live in the gray here. It's not all black and white. But I'm going to turn some of this though towards one of Bart. You can dogpile on this one as well. Feel free. Let's turn into the NCAA because it's the NCAA who says that a player can play in USL and keep their eligibility, but not MLS and keep their eligibility. So
once again, you go to Indianapolis. Hello.
That rule makes 0 sense because it's been
which means it's perfect for the NCAA.
I just need the NCAA to not exist in its current state. How about that?
I mean, if you're having folks working through NIL right now, you're already saying the quiet part out loud. So go ahead.
My favorite thing about that, by the way, is like all the recruiting has been the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like recruiting post NIL has pretty much mirrored pre NIL, with the exception of like Texas A&M putting together a crazy class last year, which Jimbo was already. I know you don't like him,
the
John.
most in the portal.
but I know you don't like him, but he's a good recruiter.
Yeah, he's just a horrible coach.
Today's edition of Florida State Down Here is brought to you by Pettiness.
Mm-hmm.
But my God, you're gonna tell me like so let's clean up that then. Let's shift the ire to NCAA, and hey, if you're gonna tell me a kid can play USL, but he can't play MLS without risking eligibility, like what's the reasoning behind it? I want to pin Mark Emmert to a wall and ask him what the reasoning is behind it. I don't expect an answer because this is the same doofus who went in front of Congress and like basically put together one of the worst arguments we've ever seen. The NCAA has no logic or reason to what they do, and anytime they've been pressed on it, they just kind of stare off into the abyss and forget the damn question, like a cartoon.
Yeah. Welcome to life in Indianapolis. And you know, just because you play in a professional league, I mean, hell, think about it from golf, Bart. If you are an amateur and you finish a tournament, I mean, go back to Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson wins a tournament as an amateur, can't take the six-figure paycheck because he's an amateur. Then he declares he's going pro. Same thing should apply here. Where look, if you play in a league, you just can't take the paycheck.
And I think that's like the most obvious solution. Yeah, I think that's the most obvious solution is like there are limits to how much you can, like, I think the players should be compensated for playing in the game, but we're talking like, hey, you get $500 and a cool pullover type of stuff, you know, not a full salary. Because, yeah, I mean, I think the players deserve to be compensated for playing in a professional game, but it does need to be regulated. And obviously MLS is also going to want to try to regulate the number and amount of times you can do it, which I do understand a little bit, but it makes more sense to be more open with rules like this than closed off and restrictive, because ultimately it's going to be better for the player. It's going to be better for the NCAA. You know, if you can say, oh, well, this kid played for Atlanta United in an Open Cup match and he's going to go play at, I don't know, Duke and somehow be on a final of, you know, the College Cup semifinal. That's a great, you know, that's something you can pitch. But I think the NCAA needs to stop pretending like they care about anything other than money. And that's the problem, is that they say all these things, yet the only reason they do this is because the NCAA and its member institutions don't want to actually have to deal with the logistics and financial blowback of allowing players to be a little bit more involved with the professional setup. And really, to be truthful, soccer is the only sport that has something to this level, right? NBA is getting there, but you know, you're not having this real issue with baseball because you're either going to the minor leagues or you're going to college. There's no real in between that we've seen. Football obviously has rules about how old you can be to be in the league, which again I think is dumb. But you know, I think there are ways to make this happen where kids are getting compensated for competing, which they should, but not becoming professionals.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a way to, you can massage it to sit there and say, okay, if you're taking advantage of your parent club's facilities and all of their physiological health, you know, you get treatment, you get the room and board, you get you get looked after, for lack of a better phrase. All of the other things that are short of getting a paycheck, they're taking care of you. So therefore, that should be enough in the eyes of the NCAA. It's like, look, they're getting all of these other things. They're just not getting paid. So therefore, they should still be allowed to perform on a professional level in a professional league. But no, we can't have that because, oh, you're in a professional league, ergo you're a professional. No. That should not be. I know that Indianapolis wants to make that line of thinking, but there are other places where other leagues where you can sit there and do professional things and still not be paid for a professional, where you're still pushing money out of your own pocket to perform in these leagues, and not in soccer. No, MLS doesn't have NIL deals yet. No, no, Ricky, they don't. Michael Head getting back into the two, and like I said, this is a schizophrenic show this morning, but that's what Wallpass Wednesdays are for. Michael Head, I am for two-legged playoffs. However, it doesn't expand the number of markets in the playoffs. TV wants more markets in. I'm against it, but that's why. Yeah, you want more eyeballs across the board. But you still got those markets that are your top 10 or top 15 viewing markets that have nothing to do with an MLS franchise, and
you have to give up the idea of TV markets. You have to. We're on a streaming system. TV markets don't mean a damn. I'm sorry, Michael. They don't anymore. We've had this issue with conference realignment where they think TV markets matter. Look at how Missouri gets into the SEC. They don't matter. We're in a streaming dominated field right now. And yes, cable still matters, but that's not a TV market thing. That's people are going to watch because they want to watch. It's going to be, what? Sorry, Jarrett, go.
Go ahead. No, go. Finish your thought.
It just makes no sense that we're focused on TV markets because there's especially in MLS, no history of the New York media market somehow being a driving force for this league. We've seen regularly soccer numbers come out, and it's places like Portland, Houston, St. Louis, right? TV markets don't matter. We want the best teams playing each other. So a home and home or a two-legged playoff might be the way to get more people to watch on your streaming app than a TV market issue. It's not about TV markets. It's just not. We can't live in that old mindset anymore.
And to your point, that's kind of where I was wanting to go with it anyway. And because even in the last few years, when numbers come out, I'm always skeptical of, oh, well, the numbers were blah, blah, blah for this event. Okay, are we counting streaming or are we just counting over-the-air broadcasts?
Numbers, Jarrett, as a TV person, numbers can be shifted to reflect any kind of a thing that you want to reflect.
Of course. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. I get it. Mm-hmm. But you've got this thing where, you have to consider, to Bart's point, you have to consider the value that is streaming, and that more people are bringing content to their eyeballs that way. Like they're busy with their lives, but they're pulling up, they're watching the game on their phone or on a tablet, sitting on a plane, train, or an automobile, whatever it might be. You got to figure that part out. And I get the idea of markets, but this is the thing. It does make me beat my head against a wall with MLS in particular, not so much with other leagues because you have those established big city teams that are just kind of reliable. But man, like New York City, NYCFC, the banner they put up for winning a title was about the size of Maxi Morales, which is very big. I know LA was a huge deal back in the day. The Galaxy are just now getting back to being respectable, much less good. LAFC, great. They got over the hump. They got their title. But soccer in America is different. This is a weird sport in this weird-ass country where Columbus, Ohio has been the land of this is our home. This is our fortress.
Yeah.
In what grand city? Is it like in Barcelona in Spain, or is it like the Parc des Princes in Paris? Is it a great cathedral to the sport in your greatest historical city? No, it's a small soccer specific stadium in Columbus, Ohio. There's a bigger one down the road at the Horseshoe, where you can go watch someone dot a damn I with a human being in a tuba. It's a weird country. Austin's finding its voice, finding its footing. Atlanta's found its footing. To your point, Portland is just this city in the trees, this fortress of stumps and of a grown psychopath with a chainsaw. This league is weird. This sport is weird in this country. It's not just built off of the New Yorks and LAs like it has been for baseball and basketball for years. Or, Boston even. Like, hell, the Boston adjacent MLS team plays in a cavernous football stadium because the owner hasn't built them anything. And I don't know, man. Like the Venn diagram of Bob Kraft and Arthur, the Dudley Moore Arthur, is damn near a circle.
Except for the laugh.
Except for the laugh. I would have so much more fun with Bob Kraft if he had the Dudley Moore laugh. And if he had a John Gielgud with him at all given moments. But yeah, it's a different animal in MLS about what is that huge market. Like, people in Columbus care, people in the Northwest care. You're getting more people in the South that care. It's the scatter plot is a different looking scatter plot. As far as the new playoff system goes, I don't hate it. I hate what we have now. I prefer 2 legs. Anything that gets me off of this 1 leg nonsense makes me happy. And if you want to get really weird with it and start like slowly shifting into more of this weird kind of South American weird playoff where you almost need an abstract to explain it, fine, but make it your own. And for God's sakes, keep it still for like more than 2 years. Please don't turn into what NASCAR has been, where it's like, we have a system. Okay, well, one thing happens, now we have to change this part of it. Okay, one thing happened when I have to change this part, and there's zero consistency, and it's just weird.
And that's where I'm at, Jared, of like, why do we keep changing something? I don't love this playoff format, but if you just said this is the playoff format we're sticking with, I go, okay, fine. I think it would ultimately do benefit and make the regular season a lot more important because, having a higher seed clearly showed to be useful in the last 2 years. But like, stop changing it. Stop changing the rules. Stop adding new competitions because, I mean, as much as we want to be progressive, yeah, I mean, in Argentina, it's like you got to literally have a new league title, like name for the league every year and a half, it feels like. Mm-hmm. So find a way to be consistent because the consistency will keep your viewers involved. That was the one thing, I mean, we can talk about this, but schedule release was yesterday. The best thing about yesterday was I'm writing on my calendar all these, and I'm like, oh, they're just at 7:30. I got to watch out for the weird ones, not the every weekend. I'm going, okay, well, what time is this game on? Okay, well, I know it's not a Fox game, so this one I know is at 7:30, but maybe it's at 7, or maybe it's at 8 for some reason because Fox Sports wanted to do that. Okay, well, this one's on Fox, but why is it a noon kickoff? This one's on ESPN. Why is it an 8 p.m.? Knowing that is at a 7:30 start time, local, as the default, that's what we need from this league. Yeah. And I'm sorry, don't give me this crap about, oh, little kids can't go to the games. If you're like, sorry, I don't care. That sounds really bad. I don't care. That's not what they're scheduling the games for. That, oh, kids now can't go to a 7:30 game. There wasn't a guarantee they were going to be able to go to a 5 p.m. game. I have friends who have kids, and they oftentimes just leave at halftime anyway because the kid is done. So, if anything, this is better for watching the game on TV.
Confirm.
Yeah, exactly, Jared. You've had to raise a toddler to 9-year-old. Their attention span does not depend on the time of day.
Born the day after the Chicago Atlanta game.
What he said.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you as an individual, you're trying to, stability, I think, is what you were looking for in this case, and getting all of the start times locked in to a window. I think that's one of the things out of the blocks that the new TV partner was great. It's like, look, everything's 7:30, bang. You know what's going on. You know where you are. You know where you're supposed to be.
I mean, even on a weeknight, I know it's at 7:30. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Even though we have more weeknight games than a lot of teams, it does suck that it's not more on linear cable because that would help bring in more casual fans. Sure, but that hasn't happened. So I wish that Fox, we could find a consistent time slot for Fox to be in, but hey, you know what? It's not the end of the world.
Mhm.
So I'm very happy with the consistent time slots. I'm happy with the 7:30 local, meaning that we can watch games overlapping. You know, some people were concerned, oh, well, this means I can't watch all the games anymore. I get that that's a concern, but like, you still can. There's a MLS whip around channel. You know, you're going to have access to all of them almost immediately. So
Desperately wish everyone could do a quad box thing.
Oh,
my gosh. I mean, that would be
all
amazing.
The streamers.
Yeah.
And I know Apple, like, I think you can do it on Apple, like the Apple TV, like the standalone, like the physical Apple TV thing. I think they have like a quad box setup, but not everyone has that. I would love for like Roku and Fire to all like find a way to do the quad box. Give me the option of watching like 4 games at once and basically just overload my brain.
nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm all for. Look, I'm a guy of the Red Zone channel. I mean, I don't watch individual NFL games. I will watch Red Zone channel on Sunday afternoons. So finally having something like that for Major League Soccer is a boon for me anyway, because I think that's what a lot of folks want. They want that. They want to duck in here, and duck in here if they're not tied to one team. And I think that brings in, we've kind of abandoned markets here, but what that does is it takes those outside of the MLS markets and it brings them in under the tent too, so they can watch whatever they want to watch as opposed to just being locked into one franchise. Like I said, that's just me.
I mean, look, as much as it's cool that Charlotte's going to be playing St. Louis on their opening, game in St. Louis, outside of that, that game might be really boring, So that's where these whip around, like people who say, oh, I want to watch every game. You really want to watch Colorado, San Jose? Sorry, Jarrett. Like,
yeah, damn right I do. Actually, I have, dude. I'm so nervous about San Jose being like some normal team now. Like, I'm terrified of the idea of San Jose being a normal team.
My point is, like, not every game in MLS is great.
Children. No, not at all.
I mean, I don't think they can ever get rid of that. They're still San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Real Salt Lake might be really bad this year. Salt Lake might be bad this year.
Yeah.
It's possible. DC United is still, I'm still not convinced they're going to be anything better than they were last year.
I do not trust DC as far as I can throw a chunk of that stadium that has fallen off.
That has nothing to do with Wayne Rooney. I just don't trust DC United.
Mm-hmm.
Flat out.
I don't think Rooney's a bad coach, by the way. Like, the work he did in England.
No, I don't. It has nothing to do with him.
Considering all the crap he had going on off the field where he was at. Like, dude, I mean, if you can get your guys to lock in, great work. Player manager too, cool. Is Taxi Fontas, is he more of the guy we saw for 2 magical weeks, or is he more of the guy who didn't really do anything the rest of the year, or is it somewhere in between? I don't really know.
All right, so what's going on with y'all tomorrow? Bart's actually functioning. Bart's going to work tomorrow.
I have a meeting tomorrow morning because apparently people want to have meetings the day before we take off for the holidays. So
no doubt.
Yes, they do, and it never ceases to annoy me.
No kidding. So Jarrett, the one thing that we didn't talk about, we'll talk about tomorrow, is Aberdeen and Rangers. We'll get into that tomorrow.
Oh, I can give you the 2 minutes on that. Hell.
You mean Malik Tillman should have been called up to the U.S. men's national team? Sorry.
Okay, so I need a mea culpa for that because I didn't think he was ready. And given how
Jared,
everything
I don't think he was ready to like.
I was very wrong.
I don't think you're wrong to say maybe he's not ready to be like a key player for the U.S. men's national team. You can't tell me that man is not more talented and wouldn't have been able to contribute more than a guy named Christian Roldan, and that's all I'll say.
Yeah, that is a fair point. Absolutely. I get the concept of why you take Roldan, like you want that like veteran guy, but I feel like there's more guys who fit that profile better than Christian Roldan at this stage of Christian Roldan's career. Malik Tillman dribbled on multiple Aberdeen players. Aberdeen spent the weekend deciding not to play against Celtic. They decided to play a little bit against Rangers, had a 2-1 lead late.
Forgot that time can be added on after 90 minutes.
Well, not even just that. Like, you give up a low shot where the keeper saves it, but like the rebound is awful. Like, I don't know where Jess is never here when I need her to explain, like, hey, when you're getting low and making that save, push the ball wide instead of like right back to the guy who's crashing the goal, because the Aberdeen defenders didn't crash the goal. They were ball watching. So Scott Arfield crashes and just taps it in. Well, smashes it into the back of the roof of the net, like with full force, because he chose violence that day.
Yes.
But then Aberdeen just like collapses under the weight of their own expectation.
Uh-huh.
They go from winning 2-1 to losing 3-2 in a span of 3 minutes. And
they do.
I know, and I'm interested to see how the Aberdeen fans react to it, because you have this contingency who were pissed at Jim Goodwin, and they should have been after the Celtic match. It was embarrassing. It was an embarrassing display at home, coming off the international break, coming off the World Cup break, hell. And then you get Rangers. You play them pretty defensively, but you manage to find 2 goals, and then you just yak it up at the end. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how Aberdeen fans feel about this. Tillman is just outstanding. And yeah, to Bart's point again, is more nuanced. Like, I was okay with him not going to the World Cup, mostly because like as the season has progressed, he's been so up and down with Rangers. Like, and not to say he's been bad, but he just kind of vanishes.
Absolutely.
Especially as the game gets more physical, he just kind of disappears into it. But I think he is getting better and better as time goes on, and being able to handle the physicality of that league, which is really uniquely physical. Like, there have been a lot of players that have played in a lot of leagues that have said, yeah, Scotland didn't work for me because they beat my ass. And it's hard. It's a weird
There's not a lot of
animal.
soccer being played in that league.
No. Like Celtic is one of the only teams that like has technical proficiency.
Like the Simpson gif where you just kind of see people kicking the soccer ball around and not moving.
No, that requires more passing and precision short passing. They don't do that in Scotland. It's hoof it day in the field.
Hoof it.
But yeah, Tillman is an absolute monster. I don't know where he goes after this. I want to see if James Sands can continue to develop there too. I don't know what James Sands' ceiling is. It's not nearly as high in my opinion. But if he can carve out a good career for himself, go for it, because Chris Durkin has. And or not Durkin in Scotland. Who was it? One of Hibs who played it. He played at DC with
Mueller.
Hibs.
Mueller.
It wasn't. No. Mueller like washed out like a mofo.
Well, you still have. I mean, you have Ian Harks still in the
Harks is what I'm
Scottish
thinking of
league as well. Yeah.
Harks is at Dundee.
At
or one of the
Dundee United or one of those.
Yeah.
I
And
think
Harks
United,
is
the orange one.
He's made a great career for himself there.
Yeah. That's a
He's
dude
good on him
who
for it.
low key needs to be getting looked at by the national team. I'm not saying he's going to raise anything, but like, why not give him a shot? You know, I mean,
Into a camp.
these players are not.
Yeah.
They're young enough to still have be able to make differences on the U.S. men's national team. And like you said, Jared, Scotland's not a bad league to go to. It's just not exactly modern.
I think it's not a bad league to get loaned to. How about that?
That's actually probably very smart. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to loan you to Scotland for a year, and you're going to basically go through the basically what was the Udogi, the Spartan child rearing program where they just beat the crap out of each other.
Oh wow.
I forget what it was called, but you're just gonna go through it for a year in Scotland. You're still gonna have to play. If you can be technical and handle the physicality, you can burn that league to the ground, and then you can bring some of that physicality back to where you are stationed. Then more power to you. Okay, cool. We figured this out. Scotland is a great place to get loaned to, but I don't necessarily want my national team players playing there full time.
Right. So Super Draft, 5:00. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll report on that tomorrow and anything else that is fit to print. He's Bartimus Prime 19 US Soccer for USPOD. Jared_Smith will be back tomorrow. I'm OSG Nelson. That's another round of soccer down here. Thanks for strapping your thanks for putting the seatbelt on and trying to catch a comet by the tail this morning. But that's kind of what Wall Pass Wednesdays are all about. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 9:05. As always, I'm going to catch up with Lucas Mendez at Virginia Dream in the NPSL, and that'll be up later this afternoon on the network. So for Jarrett, there we go. Bart is finishing up his number 2 cup of coffee.
Hey, UEFA Women's Champions League today. If you don't want to watch EFL Cup, you can watch good soccer.
Woohoo!
There you go. So
You can watch actual games.
Yeah,
It's free on YouTube.
there you go. So there's Jarrett. There's Bart. I'm John. Played safe. Mucha platia. We will catch up with you tomorrow morning, 9:05. Bart's got meetings, so he's going to enjoy those. So for everybody here, for everybody there, thanks for hanging out with us. Played safe. It's the end of the show, and that means I get to do this. We'll do it again tomorrow.